Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.
Hello and welcome to the Leveling Up Podcast with me, George Swift. The Leveling Up Podcast is here to give you the personal development, the entrepreneurial development and the business growth that you, the ambitious business owner, desires. I'm here to give you the inspiration, the motivation, but above all else to challenge your aspirations to take you and your business to the next level. Subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. Help! Nobody's buying right now. I get it, I've heard it before, and maybe this is also relevant to you right now as a small business owner, that you're just finding that people just aren't spending money on what it is that you're doing right now. Maybe you've bought into this misconception, and it is a misconception, that people just aren't spending any money right now. So today I want to help you. If you fall into this category, if you feel like clients that were spending with you aren't spending now, or prospects that, you were close to closing before the chaos of the past 3 months, suddenly they're not closable. And if you're just finding generally that your leads are drying up and, just people seem to be more reluctant to spend money than they were just a handful of months ago, then you're not alone. Many people are experiencing the same thing right now. I'm going to help you to get yourself back on track. I'm going to give you a little bit of a mindset shift as well to re-engage you with your business, re-engage you with your results. And equally, if you're finding that people are still spending money with you, but you want to sell more to more people, or you want to raise your prices, then again, there's going to be content in here that's totally relevant to where you're at as well. Without further ado, let's get stuck in. The first thing I'm going to tell you now is the chances are they are spending money. In fact, almost certainly they're spending money. The truth matter is they're just not spending money with you. Obviously, this isn't your fault. At the end of the day, we've gone through crazy times the past few months. The economy right now for many business owners, for many industry sectors, is tanking right now. We're staring down the barrel of worse economic times to come. We're all hoping it's going to be more of a blip than a massive catastrophic recession and depression. We're hearing from both sides here. There's lots of very smart people saying that we are heading into dark times, tough times. And I don't want to keep being the harbinger of bad news to small business owners because, we are fundamentally at Bigger, Brighter, Bolder and the Leveling Up Podcast. And myself, fundamentally a positive person. I'm an eternal optimist. However, I feel I'd be doing you a massive injustice if I wasn't highlighting maybe what you already know, but in my experience, a lot of small businesses aren't really aware of what we might be facing in terms of an economic recession, certainly starting to gather momentum heading into autumn and into winter. So this isn't about saying it's all doom and gloom. This is about putting a fire up business owners' arses to make sure that they really appreciate potentially how tough things are going to get, and therefore to try and stoke those fires within them to get them going now when there's time to build that momentum so that the potential economic storm that's facing us hits less damaging than it otherwise would do. So I don't want to be the harbinger of bad news all the time, but the fundamental truth is a lot of people way smarter than me are looking at the economy, not just ours, but the global economy, many countries in that global economy, and they're predicting some pretty tough times ahead. And therefore, whilst it's no fault of yours that your clients potentially are keeping their hands in their pockets and their wallets shut, the truth matter is it is fundamentally your responsibility, because ultimately you're the only one that's going to get yourself out there, get yourself in the marketplace and fundamentally create the business that you need to create to keep your lifestyle in place. But also I genuinely believe, now obviously there's a lot of uncertainty out there right now. In your marketplace, almost certainly, okay? Most industries, most marketplaces, there's a degree of uncertainty. Like, are we going to come out of lockdown fully? And are we going to ease back into normal life? Are we going to go back to how things were just a few months ago? Is there a second wave coming? Are we going back into lockdown again? This recession that's looming, is it going to be really far-reaching and hard-hitting? Is it going to be a blip? Is it going to be a few months thing? Is it a winter thing? Is this going to go on and be a 7-year cycle? So there's a lot of uncertainty out there. And when there's uncertainty, people tend to retreat, they tend to procrastinate, and they tend to withdraw. And what that means is, in terms of spending money, is that they'll actually hold on to their money because until they feel a degree of certainty in terms of where they should be putting that vital resource, which becomes even more increasingly vital the more they feel or perceive that it might run out or there might be less of it around, regardless of what the facts are right now today. Most recessions are driven by perception. Most behaviors in people, they're driven by perception, not by reality. So the fact is, right now, the chances are your client base does have the money, but they're not spending because they have a perception that things are tough, or a perception that things could get tough, a perception that money could start to run out. And that perception then starts to create their behaviors and actions. Of course, then what happens is when you have a national level of people doing the same thing, we start to dip into this huge recession because now everybody starts to hold on to their money. Money starts to not flow in the same ways. And you do this on a global scale, you go potentially into a global depression. Now, this is potentially where we're heading. I keep saying I don't want to be the harbinger of doom, but this is potentially where we're heading. But I'm telling you now, whilst there are some very real, maybe tangible things affecting the economy right now, none will be more so than perception, people's perception. People's perceptions drive their emotions drive their actions. So when you say, help, my clients aren't spending money anymore, help, nobody's spending money anymore, what we're really looking at there is actually perception. People have a certainty issue. They have a problem with knowing for certain whether they're safe or not, where they should put their money. Should they put their money in what you're doing? And this is something that we need to fundamentally address. So I want you to imagine for a moment that your prospects or your current clients even, they have a list of priorities. And at the very top of this list of priorities, it's the absolute must-haves. So this could be, paying their mortgage, their house. And then what happens is as they go down their list of priorities, you'll start to find, things like food, obviously, on there high up. And then they'll come down and maybe they'll be, keeping the car on the road and, et cetera, et cetera. As you start to come down the list, you'll start to see, things like holidays. They're slightly lower down the list. Then you'll start to see things like maybe their gym. Then you go down the list and then you start going into desirable items. So these aren't essential in any way, shape or form, but they're highly desirable. So they really like their nice car. They really like their holiday. So maybe, it's relatively high on their list, but we might be looking at 10, 15 things down on that list. And slowly but surely, you work your way down this list of priorities and down this list of desirables. And there's lots of things on there which they quite like and would like to have and, would probably be useful maybe. And then what happens is there's a line. And there's a line where above the line, it becomes essential. Below the line, it's non-essential. And everything that's below the line, they'll do if they can. And right now, if there's a perception that they only have limited funds, or a perception that they can't waste money, or a perception that they shouldn't have a punt or gamble any money, a perception that they're not sure about what they should be doing, what's coming in the economic future, where they should put their resources. If you've got any of that stuff going on, then what happens is that line will start to go up the list. So let's say, for example, you've got 100 things on this list. This is everything that you really desire, everything that's absolutely mission critical to you, and everything you quite like and wouldn't mind having. Then there'll be a line typically in a good booming economy that might be, maybe 30, 40 items above that line. And these are all the things that they'll definitely find money for. And if there's some money left over, they might start to chip away at number 41, number 42, number 43. As money starts to dry up, or the perception of money starts to dry up, or they're in this uncertainty, that line will start to move its way up. So in other words, there'll be less and less things which are perceived as mission critical or highly desirable, and more of what they wanted to have will start to fall down below that line. Now, they'll still get and buy and spend money and invest in some of the things that are below the line, but obviously they'll always find the money first for the things above the line. As things get tougher, or they perceive it as getting tougher, the line goes higher and higher. Fundamentally, at the end of the day, people have maybe number one on their list might be shelter and food. Making sure I've got a home for my family, make sure my family are fed. So those things, they'll always find money for those things. Then the list starts to come down, right? And it's the same with their business. They might have an absolute mission critical outcome they're working on their business. Maybe right now it's survival. They just want to survive. And their brain is giving them mixed messages, about whether they should be, hunkering down and just digging their fingernails in and just, holding on and hoping they get through it. Or whether they should be, leaning in, digging in, fighting harder for what they want. Maybe they feel like they should be doing more, but they don't want to risk so much and therefore they're holding back, etc., etc. So again, there's this line in their business, there's this line in their personal life. This typically becomes one list, especially if you're dealing with small businesses. So if you're a small business that serves other small businesses, their personal life, their private life, and their business life all becomes merged. Their funds quite often get merged. So, the money that they would use to pay their mortgage is maybe the same money they would use to invest in what it is that you provide. If you're dealing with bigger businesses, then of course the business might have its own funds, its own money, and they might have these two separate lists. In other words, the business leader is looking out for their own job and want to make sure they maintain their own income, and there's a certain amount of money in the business they want to hold on to, and there's a certain amount for investment, but the perception then starts to drive that there's less available for that investment. Does this make sense? So the bottom line is really simple. Yes, your clients are spending money. Yes, people are spending money. If you're feeling like they're not spending money with you, then that's the truth. They're just not spending money with you. Now, there's something you can do about this, because the truth matter is the chances are you actually could be really important for stuff that's really important in your client's eyes. And therefore, it's your job, it's our job as business owners to educate or maybe re-educate our audiences or our clients or our prospects to get them to understand that we can be and we are mission critical for their mission critical. So the first question I want to ask yourself right now is, don't take it for granted that how you were perceived to your client base a few months ago is relevant to them right now. And therefore the question is really simple. How are you relevant to your clients and prospects right now? So thinking about their list of priorities, understanding that maybe that line above which they will always find money for, and maybe you were in that category, has now risen to a point where maybe you've fallen below that line. And now you might be a desirable thing, maybe you're a wanted thing, but you're not essential, you're not mission critical right now, and therefore they're not making you a priority in finding money to buy what it is that you offer them. So the question is, how are you relevant to your audience right now? And the chances are you are relevant. The chances are nothing's changed in terms of your ability to support and help your prospects, your clients, your customers to achieve the outcome that you have always given them. But it's possible that they haven't seen how you are relevant to their current list of priorities. So the example that I could use would be, let's say you're a business coach. And let's say that you're a business coach and you sold business coaching to one of your clients to grow their business. And they were all up for that. Up to 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, they were all in on business growth. They were optimistic. They could see opportunity there. And they invested, let's say £1,000 a month for a business coach to help them to get that business growth. Over the last 3 months, let's say they've had to shut their shop. They've had to shut the doors. They've seen money piling out, but nothing coming in. They're now in a position similar to maybe how you feel right now, which is that people aren't spending money, and they might be starting to win a bit of business right now, but the truth of the matter is it's far less than what it was. And they can see it's going to take a little bit of time to ramp up. And of course, they're now potentially looking at the news, reading, news about the economy, and they're starting to, maybe be nervous about what's coming in the future. And therefore, they're no longer thinking about business growth. They're thinking about business survival. Now, if you were a business coach, of course, you'd immediately turn around and say, well, I can help them because I can help them to survive. I can help them and to continue to potentially even thrive in this marketplace. But their priorities have changed. Their priorities from business growth have fallen below the line. What they're looking for now is basic survival, because they need their businesses to survive so that they can fundamentally continue to keep a roof over them and their families' heads. And that's how their priorities are starting to shift. And therefore, as a business coach that was deemed to be useful to help them to grow their business is no longer in alignment with their current perceptions of where they are right now. And therefore, they will turn around potentially and sack their business coach. Now, if you're a business coach right now, you'll be sitting there thinking, but I know I can help them and I can support them and I can do this. Well, guess what? You don't need to tell me that. You don't need to know that. You need to educate your audience on that. So you need to re-educate your audience that you're not just about business growth, That actually right now, times have never been harder, that right now, it's never been more important to have someone to help give you clarity on where you should be investing your time, your money, and energy. And therefore, whilst it might be a certain amount of investment in their time and an investment of their money in you, the bottom line is really simple. They're going to do a lot better by having you on their team. You're going to meet them where they're at. Where they're at is survival. So if you're positioning yourself as business growth potentially without realizing, appreciating, understanding, or empathizing with your client as to where they're currently at, there's going to be a miscommunication there, and they're going to see that you're not relevant for where they are right now. And guess what? They won't spend money with you or a business coach generally. And the outcome is that nobody wins. They lose out on having that support and help in their business that they crucially need. You lose out because you don't get the client that you need, but also the client that you can help achieve their results. So the question is, how are you relevant to your audience right now? If your audience is really struggling financially and you're out there pushing the same message as you were in a booming economy just 3, 4, 5 months ago, 12 months ago, it's not surprising that potentially your client is missing what it is you actually offer them. And whilst they sit there and say, well, I'd love to have business growth, but right now I just want to keep a roof over my head. You can see that instantaneously there's a mismatch there of messaging, perception, and ultimately the importance of still working with you in order to get the results that they truly want. Now, I've used the example of a business coach. It could be the same if you're in marketing. People are going to pull back on marketing. I know from a lot of marketing agencies right now, marketing individuals, that it's harder potentially to get people to spend money on their marketing and their branding right now. I get it. Of course, people are going to pull back on marketing and branding because ultimately that's a speculation. Most people don't say, right, I'm going to put £100 into marketing. It's going to give me £500 back. Most businesses, it's like, well, there's a certain amount of money that I'm willing to gamble on marketing to hopefully bring me some leads in, or there's a certain amount of money I'll spend to speculate in the marketplace, because even though they don't necessarily know for certain it's going to return an amount of money, there's a belief that it will return a certain amount of money. So of course, that's one of the first things that people potentially are going to pull back on. They may well then turn around and start to reinvest money in marketing in, the months to come, once they start to reevaluate it themselves. But my message here to you today is not to sit back and wait for your audience, for your clients, for your prospects to get what it is that you offer, and for them to do all the heavy lifting to work out how you can help them with what it is they're trying to do. We, as business owners, especially if we're in the service industry, we're here to support people, support other businesses, support individuals to achieve what it is that they want to achieve. And therefore, we owe it to them to educate them on how we can support them and help them. And we do this through our messaging, our communications, through our content. We pick up the phone, we talk to them. We change our positioning in the marketplace slightly. For me, for example, I'm all about business growth. I'm never going to compromise on that. But I'm not going to pretend that I don't understand where much of my potential audience is right now. So I understand that for many small businesses right now, they're reluctant to invest too much in their business, certainly in things which don't have a heavy guarantee of success associated with them, because fundamentally I know that they are potentially struggling right now, or they're at least maybe in the perception that they're going to be struggling in the future, or they're just a little bit fearful and doubtful about what the hell they should be doing and where they should be going. So I'll meet my audience at that level, and then I will sell them on what it is fundamentally that I still do, which is business growth. But rather than coming straight out there and sitting there saying, right, you know what, get your business, take it to the next level and just leave it there, what I'll sit there and say, for example, is, look, I understand it's really tough out there right now. I understand that you're struggling right now. I understand this could be one of the worst periods you've had in business. You're struggling to know what to do and everything else. Let me help you, because I tell you now, fundamentally, I want to help save and preserve your business and your lifestyle, but I still truly believe it's possible for you to continue to grow your business. And the rules of success are the same as they were 6 months ago. However, the environment we're applying them to is drastically, radically changing fast. And therefore, I want to help you navigate that so that you can continue to get the business growth that you want. Does this make sense? This is how I'm positioning myself. I'm not compromising my product by saying, come to success groups and let's survive. It's called success groups for a reason. Come to Bigger, Brighter, Bolder and survive. Well, it's called Bigger, Brighter, Bolder for a reason. Six-figure fast track. Well, let's use the rules for six-figure fast track to try and keep your head above. Of course it's not. I'm not compromising on anything that I'm doing. It's all about extreme growth. It's all about business growth. It's all about success. It's all about you achieving what it is you want to achieve in your business, but I'm not in denial as to where you might be. And therefore, I take the time to educate you on how I'm relevant to you right now, because it's possible that maybe how you perceived me 6 months ago isn't relevant to where you're at in your business right now. I hope this makes sense, because I hear it a lot from business owners right now. They're saying people aren't spending money. People are spending money. They're always spending money. They will continue to spend money, but their list of priorities doesn't actually change their list of priorities. It's the line that they draw in the sand. Below the line is nice to have. Above the line is critical. They'll always get what they critically need. And in a tough economy, when perceptions are that it's tough out there or there's a lot of uncertainty around, the line will creep up, creep up, creep up. And it's very possible that you've found yourself below that line. But if you ask yourself, how are you relevant to your audience? How are you relevant to your client base? I bet you still are. And I bet you could get yourself above that line again if you took the time to educate or re-educate your marketplace, your industry sector, to re-educate your past clients, your current clients, your prospects right now, to show them and demonstrate to them why you are still relevant to where they are right now. And the second thing, I always say this, let's take relevance to another level. It's mission critical. What's mission critical? So I believe in a tough recession, if we have this tsunami of a recession that's potentially, staring down at us, that's going to hit us hard potentially in the autumn months, at the end of the day, the government has artificially, propped up the economy, the furlough scheme's in place. 9 million people, I believe, are still on furlough in the UK. What's going to happen in October when the furlough scheme runs out, right? We know there are massive redundancies waiting to happen. There are many people, potentially millions of people in this country who are unemployed right now, but just don't know they're unemployed. We've had government bailouts, we've had loans, we've had all kinds of help and grants. At the end of the day, these things potentially, it's hard to imagine they wouldn't run out. And when they do, we're left on our own. And we have to surf that tsunami. We have to navigate that tsunami ourselves. And what happens here is, as your clients start to feel the full brunt of potentially a negative economy, a recession, even a global depression, they're going to have to seriously reevaluate their priorities, but they're not reevaluating them from a cognitive place. They're not sitting down calmly thinking, well, what's important, what's not important? Where's my number one priority? What's my number one outcome? Who can help me with that? Who can support? They're not thinking like this. What happens is they're increasingly going from uncertainty into fear, potentially from fear into terror. They'll be emotionally driven and they won't be able to think straight. They won't be able to see straight. And your job, my job, our job as business owners that support other business owners or even just individuals, and we sell products to our individuals, it's our job to help them understand how we can support them. This isn't about manipulating them. This isn't about us trying to get sales from people who are struggling. This is about us seeing that we can help our fellow man, our fellow woman, our fellow business owner, how we can help people to achieve what they need to achieve, how we can help them achieve their top 1, 2, 3 priorities. But we might have to re-educate them. We might have to reposition ourselves. We might have to communicate to them in slightly different ways to get them to see that and understand it. Otherwise, what's happening is you're going to sit back and you're going to wait for your customers to work it out for themselves. And some of them will, and many of them might not. So our job in business all the time, through our marketing, our communications, our content, we're constantly educating our client base. We're not just selling to our client base. We're not just selling into the marketplace. We're educating our clients, our prospects, into how we can support and help them, how we can help them get what they want out of life. And it's very possible, as the economic landscape changes, it's very possible that what they want to achieve out of life starts to be perceived as different than what it was just a few months ago when you were relevant, and now you're irrelevant to them. However, that's a perception, it's not the reality, because you know how you can truly support them and help them to achieve what it is that they want to achieve right now. Does this make sense? This, I believe, is the mission of all small business owners right now. It's to help other small business owners, help other business owners, to help individuals, whoever your client base is, to help them through what has been a really tough time for many people and what may continue to get tougher still. Our job is to help them navigate the current situation, to help them navigate the future, to help them to obtain and get and achieve what it is that they want for themselves in life and in their own businesses if they have one. Our job is to serve and support, and therefore we are always going to still be relevant to them, but we have to understand that they might not always see it. So my message to you to finish this on is to reevaluate your client base. Have the conversations if you haven't already and ask your client, where are they right now? How are they feeling right now? What are their perceptions right now? Try and work out, try and step in their shoes, if you like, to see how they see the world around them. And then don't manipulate that and do marketing and spin it. Oh my God. You know what I mean? That's not what it's about. It's truthfully and honestly meeting your client. What's important to you? What are you trying to achieve? What are you scared of? What are you fearful of? How can I help you achieve that right now? Does this make sense? That's what it's always been about in a great economy. It's what it's going to be if we go into a negative, dark depression. It's going to be the same. It's always about how can I serve? How can I help? How can I support? How can I improve the quality of your life? If it's a product, how does this product improve the quality of your life or help you achieve an objective or an outcome that you have? If you're a service-based business, how does my service support you in what it is you're trying to achieve? Take the time to reevaluate the perceptions of your marketplace, your industry sector, the perceptions of your clients, past clients, your current clients, your future prospects, to understand where they're coming from, understand what their mission criticals are, understand where their list of priorities, whilst it hasn't changed, it seems to have changed because that line has been drawn higher and higher up the list, and therefore more things are becoming irrelevant to them. And then really take the time to think about how you communicate with those people in a way where they can truly start to understand how you can support them with their own mission critical objectives that they have right now. We owe it to them, and we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to anyone else that's connected to our business. Awesome. Thanks for listening. As always, I really appreciate you taking this half hour out to listen to this episode. I hope it's been valuable to you. My commitment to you through the whole of this period is to try and give you the best possible content I can. So much of what I put out on this podcast comes from the stuff that we're doing in success groups, the stuff that we're doing in our extreme growth masterminds, where so many of my members right now are continuing to grow their business right now. They've continued to have good success throughout the whole of the lockdown, and they're optimistic about the future, even though there's certain storms that are maybe starting to form ahead of us. If that sounds interesting to you, if you want to get yourself into an environment where you're supported, where you get the education that you need, you get the kick up the arse you need every now and again, you get the direction, then really do go and check us out, biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk. If you're under 100k, then your first step would almost certainly be to get yourself onto the six-figure fast track. The six-figure fast track is a workshop I've been running for over 2 years, and I keep saying the rules of the fast track haven't changed, but maybe how we apply some of them have, because the landscape is shifting so quickly beneath us. So I'm revamping that content all the time, but go and check it out. It's the six-figure fast track, www.biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk/fast track. When you get there, you'll be greeted with the opportunity to watch a webinar, a masterclass that's recorded, and it's there right now for you. However, you also see an opportunity to attend one of our upcoming workshops where I go through the same content, but it's interactive, and there's a Q&A there as well, where I can really help and support you to get the knowledge, the information, the education that you need in your business right now in order to take it to the next level. If you're under 100k, go and check out the six-figure fast track. If you've already done 100k and you want to continue to grow your business, then check out our extreme growth masterminds. We've had business owners in there, go from 120 to 240 and upwards in a year. We've had business owners go from 150 turnovers to 350 to 750 to 1.5 million to 2.2 million and onwards and upwards over consecutive years. Let us help you to get the business that you want to get. If you want to check that out, then go and check the descriptions below. You'll see an email for Tracy Miller. It's tracy.miller@biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk. Drop her a line and tell her that you're interested in Extreme Growth Masterminds. She'll take it from there. Equally, if you are under 100k and you want to skip the six-figure fast track and you want to jump straight in and find out more about what we have to offer, then again, you can email Tracy and she'll take you through that. Nice one, guys. Listen, have an awesome time. I keep saying this. I don't want to be the forebearer of doom and gloom. However, to ignore what I can see coming down the pipe and not to get you ready, not to get you fighting now, prepared now, getting you in a position right now where you can stand tall, stand strong in the face of potentially the economic downturn that's really going to hit hard in autumn. I'll be doing you such a massive injustice. However, to finish on a positive note, the truth of the matter is this: there's always massive opportunity. And at the end of the day, for small business owners, we can always continue to grow our business. If we're doing the right things, if we're focused on the right things, if we keep our head in the game when other people around us are losing theirs, we can continue to win. We can continue to grow our businesses. And that is the aim of myself and my team at Bigger Brighter Bolder for every single person in our club. And for me personally on this podcast is for you, the listener, right now. Have an awesome one. I'll see you next time. And until then, as always, be successful.
Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.